Welcome to Learnit Training. The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hi everybody. Welcome to PowerBi Intermediate. This is Faz Kareem speaking and I'm with Learnit. A friendly reminder that this is the second video in the series and that I recommend to watch PowerBi Beginner if you're new to Power BI before dabbling into the Power BI Intermediate session that we have today. I'm glad you could make it. I want you to know that all exercise files are in the description so that you can follow along in the video and create the report that we're working on in the video. In this lesson, we're going to be covering importing data and making transformations, things including merging columns, splitting columns, removing columns, and even creating a report with the data that we import. Let's get started.
Looking to support our channel and get a great deal? Become a member today to unlock ad-free videos. That's right, your favorite courses without a single ad. Interested in a specific video? Purchase one of our ad-free courses individually. Looking for even more? Gain access to exams, certificates, and exclusive content at LearnitAnytime.com. More information can be found in the video description below.
All right, I'm in the Power BI desktop app, and I think it's time to get the first data source loaded into Power BI, and I'll use Power Query to make the transformations that I need to make. I'm going to head over to the Home tab of Power BI, and be sure to save your file before getting started. I'm going to be using the Get Data command from the Home tab, and I'll be using the text CSV file option for my import data. And I'll be using the Invoice Data.txt file. When this gets loaded into the Power BI desktop app, I'm going to choose to transform the data with Power Query. I can see the Power Query window has opened here. I can see that the applied steps have already been applied, the source, promoted header, and change type. What I want to do is I want to talk about merging columns. I have a year column, a month column, and a day column. I have the ability to go to the Transform tab, and I can put that together with merge columns. Now, if you need to select multiple columns at once, you can hold down the Control key to select additional columns. From there, with all three columns selected, I have the ability to go over to the Transform tab and choose Merge Columns. For the separator here, I can choose to add in my own custom separator. I'll choose the /, and I'll rename the column to date. The final step that I'm going to make is I'm going to transform the data type into a date. All of these changes have happened in the applied steps, the merge column, as well as the change data type. Up next, we're going to load the customer information. With Power Query already open, I can actually go to the Home tab and get my next data source loaded in. I'm going to load the customer information, which is stored inside of an Excel workbook, into Power Query. I have the customer data here, and I'm going to open this. I'm going to choose the first icon in the list, which is a table icon, to import the table. And when I hit OK here, I can see that a new query is going to be loaded into Power Query there. I have 2 there, and I'm currently selected with the master customer 1. I want to talk about another transformation we can do for the city province. I want to change this to put city and province in separate columns, and I can do that by splitting the columns. I can see that there's a space and a open parenthesis. I can select the column itself, and if I head over to the Transform tab, I have an option to split column from the text column command group. I'll do it by delimiter, and I'll do this here, and I'll set the delimiter as a space and an open parenthesis. And I'll hit OK. I can also go over to the city province column and give that a selection. And over here, I can do that from the Transform tab. I have the ability to replace the values. I'm going to replace values, the close parenthesis with nothing, and hit OK. I'll update this to city and province. Before closing and applying this data, I think it's best to remove unnecessary columns. I'm going to go to the Home tab and choose Columns. Under Manage Columns, to select the columns I want to keep. I no longer need the fax number or the phone number, website URL, or delivery method. I'm going to go over to the Home tab and hit Close and Apply. All right, I can see the data has successfully been loaded in here. If I head over to the table view, I can see the items or the columns I chose not to include are no longer in the import. If I head over to the model view, I can see that Power BI has automatically detected the data types. And I can see they made a connection between the customer ID and the customer code between the master customer and the invoice data. Customer codes and customer IDs. Now, Power BI does have a setting that automatically detects relationships. If I head over to the File tab under my Options and Settings, under the options here for data and load, under relationships here, I have auto detect new relationships after the data is loaded. Up next, we'll talk about building a report with the data we've made transformations to and imported into Power BI. Now, the reports are actually created inside the report view. I've actually currently set up my report view to have grid lines turned on once the visualist gets applied. I also have snap to grid turned on. And I'm also going to head over to my visualizations pane to format my report page. And I'm going to update the name to sales report. I'm also going to go over to the canvas background and update the color just a little bit, just so I can see it when I add the visuals, and I'll change the transparency so that the color appears. Creating visuals in Power BI can be pretty simple by just check marking the boxes. I'm going to select the sales from the invoice data, and I'll select the customer category name from the master customer. And I'll just go ahead and get this visual here. It looks like it's selected a column chart that's best fitting to describe the data. And I'll add it to my page here. I can also change the chart type if I'm not happy with it. I can go over to a different visualization and select the chart. Now, this chart is examining sales by all years. And just like Excel, we can add in slicers to the visualization. Make sure that you don't have an existing visual selected when you do that, though. I'm going to select the slicer icon here and add a slicer to my visual. And I can open up the dates here, which have a hierarchy in Power BI. And I can add the year field to it. I have multiple options I can go with for the slicer here. I can format the visual that I have selected. And for the slicer settings, I have the ability to change the style of the slicer to maybe a drop down. I also have the option to change the slicer to maybe a tile. With the visual selected, I can format the visual as well. I can go over to the x-axis here. And over down here at the values, which I have turned on, I have the ability to turn off the title. I can also update the name. I'm going to go over to the general settings for the title, and I'll call it sales by category. All right, things are looking good. We'll talk about building a table of calculations next. For now, I want to get this visual and move it a little closer to the end side of the page, leaving room for my next one. Now up next, I want to start building a table of calculations. I want to show the sales by month, the year-over-year percentage change, and the sales year to date. And we'll do this by using Power BI's time intelligence capabilities without even needing to write a formula. So with just the page selected here, I'm going to add in the table visualization from the visualization library we have. And for the date hierarchy, I'm going to place a check mark near month. And I'm also going to place a check mark near the sales data in the invoice table. And I can actually go over to the Home tab here. And in the Calculations command group, I can create a quick measure. For the calculation that I want to select, it's going to be the year-over-year change. For the base value that I want to add, it's going to be the sum of sales. And for the date field, I'm just going to go ahead and add the date. And I'll add that to my table visual. All right. Now that we can see the formula here, I can see that the measure has been created, and I can actually add that over to my columns. I'll do another quick measure. I'm going to do the year-to-date total. And again, I'll do the sales as the base value. And I'll select the dates. And I'll add that in over to the invoice data. I can see the formula it used to create that. And if I need to, I can go ahead and show and display that column in my table. And without us realizing it here, what we've actually just done is we've used DAX, data analysis expressions. Quick measures are ready-to-made formulas that we just plug and play into our data sets. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. And I also want to add in another visual. I'm going to deselect everything here. And I'm going to select the sales, but I'm also going to select the province here from the master customer table. And I'm going to change this over to the filled map. And I'm just going to make some of these previous visuals a little bit smaller. All right. Now I'm also going to display the quantity by month in a line chart. So I have the ability to select a line chart from my visualizations. And I'm going to select the month. And let's do quantity from the invoice data. And I'll just span that across the bottom here. I'm also going to move this slicer just a little bit lower. And I'm going to go over to my Insert tab and choose a text box here. And I'll add the text box across the top. And I'll call it the sales report. All right, things are looking good. I think I'm going to make a little bit room for one more visual here. Make things a little bit smaller with the map. Alrighty. And one more visual that we can talk about are the cards. I'm going to select the card visual. And for the card visual, I'll select the quantity as the field that goes in there. And now I can see the display of the quantity that's sold year by year or for a particular month that I have selected. All right, things are looking good here. We have the report being built out. I've added a text box, a slicer, a bar chart, a table, a filled map, a card, a timeline. What I want to do now is I want to actually get this report in the hands of the individuals that will need to use and access this report. In order to do that in Power BI, you have to publish the report. Now, publishing it is going to send this report over to Power BI service. It's going to send a copy of this report as well as the data set known as the semantic model over to the service. We can use this as an ability to share the report or even the data set to build existing reports. Under the Data Hub, you'll get access to your Power BI semantic models to create existing reports or future reports from existing data sets that you've worked with. Let me click Publish here. And when we publish to Power BI, we have the ability to publish to our own personal workspace. This comes included. If you're a pro user, you have the ability to create your own workspaces, which you can invite others to share your data with your team. I'm going to upload this over to my workspace and hit select. The report and the semantic model are being published. From here, I can open up the Power BI intermediate file on Power BI service. And I can see that the data is now online in Power BI service. Now that we're in the Power BI service, I would like to give a nice little tour of it. I'm going to head over to the home page here. The home page allows you to create new reports using Power BI Online, as well as viewing existing reports online that you've published. Now keep in mind, down here you have an option called Workspaces. And if you do have a pro license, or if you're using the trial, you have the ability to create your own workspaces that you can invite others to. Everyone that uses the workspace will need a pro account. And from here, you have the ability to invite others to the workspace, and everyone can upload their work freely here, as opposed to sharing things individually. Now, if you don't have the ability to create workspaces, you have the ability to use your own workspace, My Workspace. And although you can't invite others to this, you can still share the report or the file. Let's see if I can find the file itself here, the Power BI intermediate file there. I can also use the header row to figure out and get it closer, whether it's alphabetical order or the type of files that I want to filter by. But I called it Power BI Intermediate, and I can see that I have the file here. This is the report icon, and I also have the semantic model icon as well. When I click on this here for the semantic model, these are the two data sources that I put together and made my transformations to my invoice data and my master customer. I have the ability to refresh the data set. I can also set an automatic refresh cycle, where it can refresh up to 8 times a day. And if I head back over to my workspace, I have access to the file itself as well, where I can share using various methods. So if you don't have access to workspaces, that's totally okay. What we can do is use your own workspace, and now we're going to cover various ways that you can share a Power BI report. One way you can share with a free account, of course, is to export into a PDF. Although this disables the slicers and the Power BI functionality, if you do need to get the data across to others, you can definitely create an exported PDF file to share with others, even external or internal. It's just saying it might take a few minutes to create the file there. Hopefully this doesn't take too long for us. But once the file is created, we can go ahead and share that with others as well. This is a PDF of my Power BI file. Under the export options, I can also export it into a PowerPoint as an image or as live data. All right, and here it is in a PowerPoint. Let's take a look at how that PowerPoint might present itself to us. All right, looking good. I also have embed live data. Embedding live data here looks really cool. This is the live Power BI file there. So all of these options were found under Export. And then the last but not least, I have Analyze in Excel. Let's take a look at what Excel file it's going to present us with. Oh, it looks like it's creating a pivot table. And it looks like I get to work with the model itself to create the pivot table once the data gets loaded in. Very fancy for all my pivot table users there. Up next, we'll talk about the file options, because you can also download the file. And if your organization allows it, you can embed the report and publish it directly to the web. This allows you to share with the externals rather easily. However, there is a catch to where your data set becomes a public data set. Or if you want folks to view your data set or your report on a mobile device, you can generate a QR code from the File tab. And you can also adjust the permissions if it's already been shared directly from here. Now, when it comes time to sharing, you can do that from the Power BI service. And depending on your organization, they'll control the sharing levels that you have access to. Once you apply these settings and enter in an email address, you can copy the link or mail it or send it in Teams or even create a PowerPoint. And of course, if you decide to stop sharing it or remove any links, Manage Access is available to you. Manage Permissions. See if you can publish a report. See what permissions you have, if you have the ability to publish publicly, or share the file into the entire org or specific people. Check to see if you can create a workspace as well. All of this is done in the Power BI service once you've published your report. Alrighty, folks. In this lesson, we've imported data from two different sources, merged columns, split the columns, removed the columns, and ultimately created a report with various visualizations and ran through the publishing options. This was Power BI Intermediate, and we'll be covering some more DAX in the next lesson, Power BI Advanced.
Thanks for watching. To earn certificates and watch our courses without ads, check out LearnitAnytime.com.